After years of lobbying, a major step was taken on Tuesday in modernizing Jamaica's ganja law with the passage of amendment to the Dangerous Drugs Act in the Parliament. The changes will result in persons convicted for minor offences to now have their records expunged. More good news as Cabinet approved a regulatory framework for the commercial growing of ganja and for a medical marijuana industry. Justice Minister Mark Golding explained some of the changes at a press briefing also on Tuesday.
Firstly, the definition of ganja in the Dangerous Drugs Act is to be amended to exclude ganja license under law for medical and scientific purposes and industrial hemp. A definition for hemp is to be inserted in the Act. This definition will define hemp as a plant of cannabis sativa and any part of that plant with a THC concentration of no more than 0.1 to 1%. Which is a range accepted internationally. The Act is to be amended to insert provisions to permit the cultivation, possession, export, import, transportation, manufacture, sale, possession, and distribution of ganja for medical and scientific purposes under license. The Act will be amended to enable the making of regulations to establish a system of licenses, permits, and authorizations for the controlled cultivation, production, processing, possession, transportation, delivery, offering for sale, etc., for medical and scientific purposes of ganja, including research, clinical trials, and the manufacture of nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. The promulgation of these regulations will be subject to affirmative resolution of Parliament. In other words, the regulations will go to Parliament to be approved. A licensing authority is to be established to govern the licensing processes for participation in the medicinal ganja industry. The industrial hemp industry will be similarly subject to a licensing system, which may be more appropriately implemented by the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, rather than the Ministry of Health, under which the Dangerous Drugs Act falls. Further discussions are to take place with the Minister of Finance in relation to a portion of the revenues generated by the licensing of industry participants going into a dedicated fund, with the resources from that fund to be used to provide financial support for the following objectives. Firstly, a public education program directed at discouraging ganja use by adolescents and other vulnerable persons. Secondly, enhancing the funding support for the National Council on Drug Abuse and programs dealing with ganja abuse or addiction and related mental health concerns. Thirdly, funding scientific research into the medical and other scientific and industrial uses of ganja. And fourthly, providing additional technical and administrative support for the implementation of the new regulatory regime. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, it must be emphasized that Jamaica remains fully committed to the fight against transnational drug trafficking and organized crime, working cooperatively with our various international partners. Save for the specific reforms that we have announced this year, the criminal sanctions for illicit activities involving ganja will remain as currently set out in the Dangerous Drugs Act.
And interim chairman of the Ganja Future Growers Producers Association, Orville Silvera, says public education is now very important.
Public education is the most important piece. And as I, at my first, at our first conference, called support of the media in this public education drive. We have to understand from a Jamaican point of view that it can't be a wholesale, everybody doing this. Can't be, right? So importantly, we will be out here.